What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall markets. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be very important as we have the FOMC meeting, Jerome Powell giving a speech. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. The offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So far when it comes to NIO, we have this head and shoulders like structure, which is looking more bearish, especially if we lose this $5 support. If that fails us, we're going to be looking for a bigger dip all the way down to start filling this gap down here. And this is going to be leading to a big move to the downside. So I just want to give you guys a heads up about that. Now, whether or not that happens could also depend on some other factors. So I want to just focus on those. For today, the market exploded. Besides health and consumer non-durables, basically the whole market pumped like crazy. We saw retail up quite a bit. Tech was pumping. We saw many ETFs also pushing consumer durables. And we saw Tesla absolutely exploding after the news has come out that former President Trump has once again won again, and he is president once again. So pretty crazy stuff. The election was pretty crazy. I got like no sleep last night just being up because of it. And it was very wild to see how things developed. The market got a very, very positive reaction, especially Bitcoin was pumping quite a bit. And that happened amidst all of these different announcements. So I just want to say this real quick. When it comes to the election, guys, yes, it will affect our lives, but at the same time, you should not use this as an excuse to do anything do anything wrong. You guys should just prioritize improving your own selves, improve your own lives, and don't even worry too much about whether or not you like the candidate or whatever. Just let it be known that it's very important to prioritize your own household, your own self, and do what you can to better yourself. And if you like the results, that's good. If you didn't, it's up to you guys. That's completely your guys' decision. Just know that the future remains bright regardless of what just happened. So that being said, what do I see for the markets? The market got a very, very strong reaction to Trump's victory, and the market is still very strong as a result. It's still very strong. There's no sign that the market is rejecting, and it looks like it wants to continue this pump. Now, I just wanted to say that when it comes to the way the market is moving, it is pushing, but we do have another catalyst for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims. And then later on at 2 p.m., we have the Fed interest rate hike decision coming out. This will give us more insights on what the Fed is going to do. The market's expecting a 25 basis point cut by the Fed. And then during the press conference, we have Jerome Powell giving his speech. When Jerome Powell opens his mouth, this will cause some volatility. So get ready for Jerome Powell's speech. I'm expecting more volatility. The market is expecting the big guy, Jerome Powell, to come out and start cutting rates even more. But we're going to be listening to see what they say about the future policy and anything else like that. There's a very, very good chance that he's going to be kind of ambiguous with what he wants to say. So we'll see how things end up going. For other factors out there, I just want to say that right now there's a 97.5% chance we get a 25 basis point cut. That's what the market's expecting, and that's most likely what the Fed is going to do. Once this announcement comes out, we'll see if the market pumps or not. It still could hold up very, very well. And then during the press conference, we'll see what happens after that. I'll talk about this and I'll talk about earnings. Greed is making up the majority of sentiment now. With Trump's victory, there's a lot of buyers that step back into the markets. Momentum is back at extreme greed. And then we also have the put and call option ratio, which hit fear because there were so many people shorting the market before the election. And now we're seeing shorts getting squeezed. The VIX dumped back down to neutral. It's becoming more fearful as we saw buyers step in. So for now, the buyers are stronger and it's back to all-time highs for the markets. For earnings, we just got ARM and AMC announcing their earnings. Just know this. ARM saw their share price dip despite the fact that they had better than expected earnings. They actually saw their EPS at 30 cents, which is above expectations, and revenue at 844 million, that's above expectations. However, they guided its revenue of about 920 million to about 970 million the current quarter versus what we were expecting at about 939 million. So not that strong, just kind of like so-so. Wasn't really enough to get investors that excited because of the fact that guidance could actually be below what they were expecting. And there's other factors out there, but that's the reason why we saw more of these investors kind of like sell off. So that's the reason why we saw this end up sinking. AMC basically had a very, very interesting report. Their revenue came out, it was pretty strong at about 1.33 billion, but their loss was at about 6 cents per share. That's a little bit above what we were projecting with a loss of about 7 to 9 cents per share. So a little bit of an improvement right over there, and their guidance was so-so. But because there's still a loss, it wasn't really enough to get investors excited, and the share price is still down despite that. So that's why AMC is a little bit in the red. Just want to call that out. For NIO is talking about the 2024 UN climate change conference is going on. It's going to be held in a different area, and that's very important because they're going to be presenting their ES8, ET7, and ES6. So that's good news for them, getting a lot more exposure. Maguire and JP Morgan are still bullish on NIO despite the downside that we're seeing. And the price-price ratio is dipping as NIO is losing some strength. Thursdays also tend to be green only about 49% of the time, so just keep that in mind. We also have about 80 million in volume. It's a little bit above average, but just know that we're selling on high volume after Trump's victory. So it could be because of other factors involving geopolitical changes, and also Trump's stance on China. So it could be all these different factors, right? There's a lot of different factors affecting this. In this case, we do look more bearish on NIO. We're going to be seeing if $5 holds. If it does not hold, there's a risk of us coming down to about 4.64. Eventually have another gap to fall all the way down to the lower fours. So I anticipate some downside for NIO as the most likely case. We are looking a little bit more bearish here, especially as we lost $5. So please keep that in mind. For other factors out there, SPY is looking more bullish right now. We're trying to push right here. There's no sign of this stopping. So far, the bulls have an edge. Tomorrow morning, we're going to try to push a little higher to about 592, but just know this, we might see a lot of consolidation in that range. We might start to consolidate around these key resistance areas. So we might start consolidating, going back and forth for some time. And then once we get the Fed decision, do expect a big move. Whether we pump higher, if we dump, we might just continue to pump. We still look bullish. And then Jerome Powell's speech will also affect this. So we'll see what happens with that. But expect a little push and consolidation in the morning, then maybe a bigger move after FOMC starts. So get ready for that as the most likely case. For ES, we look a little bit more bullish. We're actually pushing very, very nicely to basically the 59.80 area. And then if we break that, we're basically targeting the new all-time high, basically the 6,000 area, which is pretty insane. That's going to be our next area if we do end up breaking through that. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. But so far, there is most definitely potential in this chart. For others out there, we also have Nvda. Nvidia is breaking these highs, looking bullish. It's at new all-time highs. We're going to be looking for 146 as our resistance. If that breaks, I'm looking at 147.5. Eventually 150 if that breaks above that as well. But nonetheless, we remain more bullish. For others out there, we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin's continuing to rocket. We hit 76,000. Could retest 75,005 before it tries to bounce again. But nonetheless, Bitcoin is looking more bullish. Tesla's more bullish. It does have a tough resistance at 290. If we do reject here, we're looking for a dip back down for about this support right over here around this 285 area. We could be retesting that. If that fails, let's look for 280 or so to be retested. But just know that every time we've dipped on Tesla, we're getting bought back up. So this is still favoring upside. It looks like if it manages to hold above 290, our next target is going to be up to about that 300 area. We remain more bullish nonetheless. If it breaks 290, look for 292, 295, and then eventually 300 if that breaks. For NQ, we're more bullish. We're approaching 21,000. Once again, near these all-time highs. We're not that far away from them. We're going to be looking for a target of about 21,000, which I think we're still going for. Same thing with the QQQ. We're at all-time highs. If we break past 506, we're looking for a potential target around 508, and eventually the 510s are coming. If it rejects here, we're looking for a dip back down towards 503.5, but nonetheless, we still look more bullish. For Aapl, we're stuck in the middle, kind of range bound right here. We have 224 as resistance and 220 as our main support. We're stuck in the middle. We could dip closer to about 221 before it tries to rebound, so give this some time to develop. For others out there, the IWM is looking kind of flat right here. It's just range bound between 235 and 240. We're going to likely just continue to trade sideways for some time. Look for a small dip tomorrow morning, and then we'll see what happens with FOMC. But as of right now, it's just range bound. ARM is dipping because of earnings, so just keep that in mind. This is one of those stocks that's making a more bearish move. Coinbase remains bullish and hit our target of 250. We're looking for basically 245 as our support, so it might dip a little bit towards 245 before it tries to bounce again. But nonetheless, it's bullish. Amazon could retest 205 before it tries to bounce, but it still looks more bullish. Meta dumped only to get bought back up, so we're going to be watching to see if we could break past 573.5. Look for a test of that tomorrow. Microsoft is going to try to test 421. If that breaks, we're pushing higher. And then Google looks more bullish for a potential test of 180. Looks more bullish. So the majority of stocks are more bullish, but NIO is looking more bearish, unfortunately, off this head and shoulders. It's not NIO's time yet to really run, so do expect some downside. We could offset this in the future, but for the time being, we do remain a little bit more bearish. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'm just giving you guys my honest assessment. Please have a great day. If $5 fails us, we could be looking for 4.8 and 4.64 as our potential targets. It's not the end of the world, guys. It's just another opportunity for NIO. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.